Beloved, listen closely because what I'm about to tell you may shift everything you've ever believed about loss, failure, and waiting. You have not been forgotten. You have not been overlooked. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. Everything that seemed to crumble, every opportunity that slipped away, every person who walked out, none of it was the end. It was the divine rearranging your world to make room for what was meant to stay. The same power that formed the stars still beats within your chest, and it remembers what belongs to you. What was once lost, heaven has already written to return, pressed down, shaken together, running over. But here's the mystery. Restoration doesn't begin when something returns to you. It begins the moment you decide within that it's already yours. The moment you dare to believe again, everything hidden in the unseen begins to move toward you. This is your time. The waiting has expired. The same energy that once carried your pain now carries your promise. Before this speech ends, you will feel it, a deep knowing that the story has turned in your favor. Stay with me, because before this is over, you'll realize God is not just restoring what you lost, He's restoring you. When I speak of restoration, I am not speaking of something that comes from the outside. I am speaking of a divine law that operates within you, a law so perfect, so constant, that even when all seems lost, it is quietly working to return all things in divine order. You may think life has taken something from you, love, money, opportunity, time, but I tell you, nothing is ever truly lost. The power that gave it to you once is still within you, waiting for your recognition to call it forth again. You see, loss is never punishment, it is preparation. When something leaves your life, it is not because you are unworthy, but because the divine seeks to expand you, to make space for what is greater. You cry over the ashes, not realizing that the same fire that burned it down was sent to refine you. You were not being stripped of blessings. You were being shaped into the one who can hold them without fear. The law of restoration does not concern itself with appearances. You may look around and see emptiness, yet the unseen world is full, overflowing with the very things you once called yours. Life mirrors your inner conversation, and if that conversation continues to mourn what was lost, then so it remains lost in the shadows of your own disbelief. But the moment you dare to say within, it was never gone, it still belongs to me, you awaken the creative power that returns it in a new and greater form. Every restoration begins as a quiet shift in awareness. You begin to sense that you are not a victim of circumstances, but the cause of them. You start to remember that you are the one who spoke your world into being. And as you return to that realization, life rushes to obey. The universe does not keep accounts of your past. It only responds to your present assumption. Assume once more that you are whole, that you are prosperous, that you are loved, and the law must fulfill it. Do not look backward for what was. Do not seek it in the ruins. For what is coming to you is not a mere return of what left. It is the resurrection of what has evolved. The same love, the same dream, the same success will come again, but now with wisdom, with strength, with maturity. That is how God restores, not by giving back the old, but by bringing forth the eternal pattern behind it in a richer form. Everything that once seemed gone is simply waiting for your recognition. The very moment you stop asking when and begin declaring now, you stand in the flow of restoration. Feel it. Imagine it as already done. Speak to yourself as though the promise has been fulfilled, for it has. This is the secret. You do not wait for things to be restored. You restore them in consciousness first. And when you do, the outer world rearranges itself, people move, opportunities rise, and what once seemed lost begins to find its way home to you naturally, effortlessly, inevitably. For when you begin to feel the nearness of restoration, something extraordinary happens. You realize that nothing was ever truly taken from you. Everything that you once called loss was only the outer shadow of an inner misunderstanding. The truth is, what belongs to you can never depart. It can only move out of your sight until you awaken to see it again. The world has taught you to believe in absence, to trust what your eyes tell you. You see the empty chair, the closed account, the vanished opportunity, and you say, "It is gone." Yet I tell you, nothing is gone. The outer form may have dissolved, but the essence remains alive in the invisible realm, waiting patiently for you to recognize it once more. Everything you have ever loved, desired, or created still exists, not as memory, but as living substance in the unseen, vibrating with your name upon it. When you mourn a loss, you bind yourself to the illusion that something real has been removed. But only the shadow passes away, the reality remains untouched. The invisible world holds the blueprint of every joy, every relationship, every success you have ever known. And that blueprint cannot be destroyed, for it was born of divine imagination. What the senses report is but a reflection of the state you occupy. When you feel impoverished, the world mirrors lack. When you feel abandoned, people withdraw. But when you return to the inner knowing that all you have ever needed still lives within you, then appearances begin to bow, doors reopen, faces reappear, opportunities take shape, not because they were created anew, but because they were waiting for your recognition to draw them forth again. This is why I say, stop chasing after what seems lost. Stop begging the outer world to return what only the inner world can restore. The moment you imagine yourself whole, the lost things begin to find their way back. Not by effort, not by force, but by divine order. The illusion of loss was only the teacher, the gentle nudge to turn inward and remember who you are. For you were never meant to be at the mercy of circumstance. You are the dreamer of the dream, and as the dreamer, you have power over all you see. If you change the feeling within, the outer projection must change to match it. Everything you once longed for is still calling your name. It has not vanished, it has only shifted dimension. The unseen world is pregnant with your creations, awaiting your command to come forth again. Speak as though it were present, love it as though it never left, give thanks for it as though it already fills your hands, and it will. You have not been separated from your good, you have only turned your gaze away from it. Lift your inner eyes, feel again the reality of your abundance, your love, your peace. The instant you do, the veil of illusion begins to thin, and what was once invisible starts to take form before you quietly, naturally, beautifully. And as that invisible form begins to stir before you, it becomes clear that imagination is the bridge between what is unseen and what must appear. For imagination is not fantasy, it is creation itself in motion. It is the divine act clothed in human awareness. Everything you have ever touched, held, or experienced first lived within you as an image, a feeling clothed in thought. You may think you are merely remembering or wishing, but the moment you enter that feeling with faith, you have already set the law in motion. To imagine is to commune with the reality that waits behind appearances. When you see yourself as healed, even while the world calls you sick, when you feel abundance even while your purse is empty, when you walk in the joy of love even while you sit alone, that is creation. You are not pretending, you are claiming what eternally belongs to you. The outer world only delays because it must rearrange itself to fit the inner mold you have just formed. The bridge of imagination is traveled not by effort, but by surrender. You do not force the picture, you enter it. You close your eyes and step into the scene as though it were real. Breathe its air, feel its warmth, hear its sounds, and in that sacred moment of immersion, you have crossed the bridge. For the inner world and the outer world are not two, but one continuous stream of consciousness expressing through form. You may not see the change immediately, but it has already begun. The seed has been planted in the soil of the unseen, and its fruit must appear. Every image you hold with love and conviction draws its likeness out of the invisible into the visible, and the more often you dwell in that feeling, the stronger its magnetic pull upon the world around you. Do not wait for the outer to convince you. The outer cannot give you what you have not first granted yourself inwardly. Feel it first, accept it first, live in it first. That is the creative act. When you walk the bridge of imagination, the unseen bends time and circumstance to make your assumption flesh. You do not need to know how. The law itself is the how. If you have lost something and long for its return, do not stand on the shore of regret. Close your eyes and walk inward. See the scene that implies your restoration is complete. Feel the joy of having it. Hear the laughter that comes with it. Touch it with the fingers of your mind until it feels more real than the world around you. And when you open your eyes again, walk in that state as though the unseen were visible, as though the invisible were already fact. Imagination is the sacred path that restores all things. It is the voice of God within you saying, "Let there be," and there is. It needs no permission, no delay, no condition. Only your belief, your willingness to feel the unseen, as now and the world must unfold in obedience to that inner command. For when you have walked that inner bridge long enough, something within you begins to whisper, "Now is the time." Not tomorrow, not someday, not when the circumstances seem ready, but now. The appointed hour of your restoration arrives the very moment you decide that delay has no more authority over you. The long nights of waiting were not wasted. They were seasons of becoming. What seemed like silence was not absence, it was preparation. The power was gathering itself in stillness, aligning every detail so that when the curtain finally lifted, you would be ready to stand upon your new stage. There is a divine rhythm to everything that unfolds. You may not have understood it when doors closed, when prayers seemed unanswered, when dreams faded like mist. But look closer now. The pauses, the detours, the rejections, all were guiding you into perfect timing. Had you received your desire before you were inwardly prepared, you could not have sustained it. The universe never denies, it only delays until your vibration matches your vision. The hour has come because you have changed. You no longer beg from life, you command it through your inner knowing. You have moved from asking, "When will it come?" to declaring it is here. That shift in consciousness is the signal the universe has been waiting for. It is as though the whole of creation holds its breath until one soul awakens and says, "I am ready now." You may feel a strange calm settle over you, not excitement, not impatience, but certainty. The certainty that all is well, that nothing is missing, that what was promised has already begun to unfold. This calm is the mark of divine readiness. When you feel it, you are standing in the exact vibration of your answered prayer. And soon, the outer world will begin to echo that calm with visible signs, coincidences, alignments, opportunities, faces reappearing, doors reopening. Do not rush it, do not doubt it. The seed is pushing through the soil, and though you cannot see the roots beneath, they are deep and strong. Every season of waiting was watering your faith. Every disappointment was pruning the branches that could not bear the weight of your coming harvest. You were never being delayed, you were being refined. So now walk as one who has arrived. Speak as one whose prayer is fulfilled. Carry yourself with the quiet dignity of one who knows the outcome is certain. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. The universe moves swiftly for the one who walks in faith instead of fear. The waiting season has ended. You stand at the threshold of manifestation, and the power within you says, "Step forward." The same light that once guided you through loss now illuminates your restoration. The moment you accept that this is your appointed hour, the world itself will rearrange to prove it so. And as you step into that hour with quiet confidence, you begin to see the secret thread that runs through all creation, the law that responds not to your words, but to the silent tone behind them. Life does not hear what you say aloud, it hears what you assume within. Every thought clothed with feeling becomes a decree, and every decree spoken in the inner chamber must be obeyed by the outer world. You are always speaking, even in your silence. The world around you is merely the echo of that silent speech. When you say within, "I am restored," the universe answers, "It is done." When you whisper in fear, "I have lost everything," the universe nods and fulfills that too. There is no judgment in this law. It does not choose for you. It only amplifies what you have chosen to believe. That is why the wise guard their inner speech with tenderness, for they know every assumption is a seed, and every seed must grow after its kind. You cannot speak lack within and expect abundance without. You cannot mourn inwardly and expect joy to rise from your sorrow. But when you dare to speak from the end, to say within yourself, "It is well, I am whole, I am loved, I am prosperous," then creation itself bows to your command. The invisible world begins to move, circumstances shift, people play their parts, and what was once chaos begins to take shape in perfect order. There is immense power in the word that never leaves your lips. You may smile and speak hope aloud, yet if your heart whispers doubt, the law will answer doubt. That is why you must become still long enough to listen to your inner conversation. What are you saying when no one is near? What story plays again and again behind your eyes? For that story is the prophecy of your tomorrow. If you desire restoration, speak it inwardly as already complete. Say within yourself, "I remember when I thought it was gone, but now I live in the joy of its return." Feel the gratitude rise before you see the result. That feeling of thanksgiving is the sound that heaven responds to. It is the language of faith. And even when appearances contradict you, when the outer world shows lack, delay, or silence, hold your inner words steady. Do not argue with the facts. Do not plead with reality. Simply return to your inner speech, the unseen command that governs all form. Whisper again, "It is done," and rest in the peace that follows, knowing that what you decree within must unfold without. The law has no favorites. It is exact. It is the mirror of your belief, the servant of your inner conviction. Whatever you assume to be true becomes the living truth of your world. Speak not of what is missing, but of what is already fulfilled. For the world does not resist your will, it merely reflects the sound of your inner voice, and it always answers yes. And when you begin to live in the echo of that inner yes, everything changes. You no longer wait for proof, because proof itself becomes unnecessary. You start to move, speak, and breathe as one who already possesses the thing once longed for. The outer world, once so resistant, begins to soften beneath the weight of your certainty. It bends, rearranges, and conforms to the image you now hold within. This is the sacred art of walking in fulfillment, the quiet mastery of living from the end rather than toward it. To walk in fulfillment is to refuse to be governed by appearances. You no longer ask, "When will it come?" for you know that it already has. You no longer seek signs, for your very being has become the sign. You rise each morning with the feeling of completion resting gently upon your heart, and in that still confidence, creation rushes to meet you. The world becomes a servant of your inner conviction. You begin to see how unnecessary striving ever was. You realize that all your running, all your pleading, all your anxious prayers were born of not knowing who you are. Now you move with grace because you understand that life mirrors your inner posture. When you stand in fulfillment, you magnetize all that belongs to that state. The people, the opportunities, the abundance they come, drawn not by your words but by your vibration. Even in the smallest acts, you carry the fragrance of completion. You walk into a room and things shift. You speak and hearts respond. You need not persuade or chase, for fulfillment speaks louder than demand. It has its own quiet authority, the authority of one who knows that what is desired already is. And yes, there may still be moments when the old shadows try to whisper, when doubt attempts to re-enter. But now you smile at it, for you recognize its voice. You say within yourself, this, too, must serve the new state I live in. For even fear, when met with faith, dissolves into blessing. You no longer fight against what appears, you bless it, knowing that it is but the fading echo of a former belief. Walking in fulfillment means living as though the promise were already kept. You act from love, not longing. You give from abundance, not need. You thank before you receive, because receiving has already occurred within. And the world, ever faithful, rises to match your inner declaration. Each moment becomes sacred, because you know you are now the embodiment of answered prayer. There is no more striving, only unfolding. No more asking, only gratitude. No more waiting, only being. For the power within you has completed its perfect work, and all that once seemed lost now stands before you, transformed, renewed, multiplied. And so you walk gently through life, clothed in assurance, radiant with peace, knowing that restoration is no longer coming, it has already happened within you. The outer world simply follows, faithfully mirroring the reality you dared to live in first.